Oh, perfect.
Okay. Okay. This is one of my favorite topics, and I'm ready to start.
You're good. Go right ahead.
All right. So, starting a garden can be a little daunting when you look out and all you see is like all this grass. Like, how do you get under that grass to establish a good garden? I'm a vegetable gardener, so that's my jam, my perspective. And some people see a nice lawn and they say, that's beautiful, let's leave it alone. And a vegetable gardener like me says, that'd be a good spot to grow tomatoes. So we could turn that into a vegetable garden. So how do you do that? You need to get under the grass. You can use a turf lifting tool, which is a special tool you can get at Gempler's or probably Home Depot. And it's built to have a little leverage that allows you to get under those top roots and lift it up. You could use a shovel and do the same thing. It is extremely time consuming and labor intensive though. You could use a rototiller to dig up the grass and the ground beneath, but I found that that doesn't work as well as you might imagine because the rototiller, especially if a lot of our red clay soil here in Virginia, when you've got a good mat of grass that's been dug in there for a while, it really just bounces off the top of that grass. And if you do lean on it and push it in there, you better spend some extra time, before you return that tool because you'll have grass wrapped all around the rotors. And if you return it like that, they charge you $25 to clean it up. In case you're wondering how I know that, it cost me $25 when I returned it. So here's a welcome alternative, the no-dig method. This could not be simpler. You just pick the patch that you want to turn into a garden. And then you have to go about killing the grass or weeds in that patch. So how do you do that in the no-dig method? You can put down a layer of cardboard. If you're like my household, you're getting more boxes than usual from Amazon these days. You can cut those up, flatten them with a box cutter, and spread those out. That cardboard will decompose. It will take a while. And so you help it by putting down 2 inches of compost on top of the cardboard. You may want to put a cover on top of that too. The cardboard will break down. You could do an experiment about whether it breaks down faster under a tarp or just letting the rain attack it through the compost. When I tried this cardboard method, I was surprised at how durable the cardboard was. It was there a long, long time after I put it down. So the method that I've gravitated toward that uses more compost is you just pick that patch of lawn and you put down 6 inches of compost. And then put a strong barrier on top of that, like a tarp. You could use blue or black. Black operates a little faster because it helps solarize the roots under the compost. In the video that I've mentioned in a slide a couple down, the gardener got an old carpet from a neighbor who was going to throw it out anyway and used that for a barrier on top. Where do you get 6 inches of compost? You can build it yourself, but 6 inches spread over, say, a 10 by 10 plot, that's a lot of compost. I've gone to acquiring it from my landscaping company, and they will cart it in and put it down for me. And it costs a couple $100 for the materials and the labor. But I've had more success doing it that way. When I try to use my own compost, I find that, as hard as I've worked on it over the winter, there just isn't as much as I'd like. And then I'm trading off using that compost for established areas of the garden with trying to establish a new section. So there are some pros and cons of this no digging approach, mostly pros in my view. The main con is that you have to plan ahead. The process of killing the weeds underneath the cardboard or underneath the tarp can take 6 months. So you have to plan now for the winter growing season or for next spring. The pro is that the resulting soil is very rich. It's ready for planting. And it really can be manipulated very easily without heavy digging, compared to other like double ditch digging gardening that's very labor intensive and hard to get the shovel in there. You can just use a little hand spade to make room for your seed and then put it directly into the ground. And the other thing is, and this is touted in the online materials about no-dig, is that no-dig gardening retains the soil structure. The soil structure is important because it establishes sites where the nutrients important to plant growth are exchanged and made available to the plant. When you dig your existing beds or rototill them every year, you make the planting a little easier for yourself, but it does break up those exchange sites and disturb the structure of the soil. There's tons of resources online. I wanted to show you just a couple of my projects in phases. This one on the right is one that I built as an extension to an existing vegetable garden. I put the compost down last October and covered it. Left it covered all winter, and then dug the fence posts and fenced it in the spring. The black tarp that you see there, weighted down by bricks, that's the edge of my bed that extends outside the fence. I must say I didn't optimally plan for the laying of the compost in alignment with the fence post. So unless I want to have a ragged little area to manage with a weed whacker inside, I thought I would basically no-dig garden that area by taking some compost and some dirt from the forest floor near my house, lay that down, and I would expect that to be ready for a border planting like Brie Arthur was talking about, of arugula or shallots or garlic, possibly in the fall. I'll have to check it, but certainly by next spring. And then the blue photograph of the blue tarp is my plan for next year. My landscaping friends came in and laid down the compost. And I've just covered it over, and that will just sit like that, probably until I don't need the additional capacity this year. So I'll have another 10 by 12 or so area to plant next year. And I've put this all in terms of vegetable gardening because that's how I look at the world, but this would work for any kind of establishment. You could do flower gardens with this. Most of the no-dig movement is focused on edible projects, but there's no reason you couldn't do this for any kind of horticulture. Now, the really fun thing about no-dig is there are some terrific resources on YouTube that are very inspiring. The leading teacher in this area, possibly the inventor, although it had a good idea has many parents, is Charles Dowding, who's lovely to listen to. He's British and has a beautiful British accent, and so I could listen all day. I'm not saying I've done that, but I could. You could really go down the rabbit hole on this stuff because there are so many videos, and I just find it so exciting. They show how you go from a bare patch of land into this abundant garden producing greens. A lot of people are in the farmers market movement, and so they use this as an intensive agriculture approach so that they get more marketable greens and herbs. But it works for any kind of plants. And the final thing I wanted to mention is that they recommend the use of leaf mulch as opposed to wood bark mulch or other kinds of coverings in between the rows because it breaks down so much faster. And leaf mulch should be readily available around here. I've started making my own. I bought a little leaf grinder for $120 on Amazon. It takes a lot of leaves to make a little leaf mulch. So same kind of problem as with growing your own compost. If you follow this approach, you may want to try to acquire leaf mulch from, say, Town of Vienna or another inexpensive source like that. So that's my presentation. I have highlighted a particular video here that I hope you'll enjoy if you have time to watch it. And when you click on that, you'll get lots of other suggestions about inspiring node